This video is sponsored by IK Multimedia. Now let me show you the secret to the Joe Satriani tone. Hi there, Perfecto the Castro here, and welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. So a couple of weeks back, I posted this Joe Satriani related question on my Facebook page, and an overwhelming amount of the comments asked me to dive into that huge Satch sound. So that's what we're gonna do with the help of the brand new Joe Satriani Amp Vault collection for ToneX. The Joe Satriani Amp Vault for ToneX might be the most generous collection of amp models available right now. Instead of focusing on that signature Satch tone, Joe gave us everything. All the amps in his collection from vintage to modern. This ToneX amp collection is a must-have, not only for that signature Satch tone, but for players of all styles and all genres. You will find an amp that you will love in this amp vault. Of course, big thanks to IK Multimedia for sponsoring yet another video here on my channel. I will have all the relevant links, affiliate or otherwise, in the video description. So please use these links to go shopping and help a channel out. Thank you so much. Okay, jam time. To get into the spirit of Joe, I'm going to need a few things. First, look at that. This beautiful JS1 from Ibanez in chrome. This is not my guitar. This belongs to my student Lester, who generously loaned it to me for the purpose of this video. But after using it, I might very well need one. Ibanez. Okay, a couple more things to complete the look. I am not ready to commit to the Joe Satriani hairstyle, so I will go for the next best thing, which is this bucket hat. There you go. And we gotta make sure it goes to 11. There it is. And finally, pièce de résistance. Here we go. Okay, that was a lot of fun channeling my inner Joe. So now let's go deep dive into the tones that I used for this song. Now, aside from the gear, the most important part of the Satriani tone recipe is how he layers his parts and how he assigns tones to each one. In the promo video for this tone collection, Joe talked about assigning different gear combos to specific parts. And that's exactly what I did while I was recording this very Satchy tune. Now I have two tracks of dirty rhythm guitars. On the left channel, you heard my KGW, affectionately named Rem. And I used the Joe's Freedom Dirty preset based on his Friedman head. And this is how that sounds. Nice and crunchy. And typical of Friedman, this preset has a nice, big, beefy tone. Now for the rhythm guitar on the right channel, I used my Gibson Les Paul Studio, the restored bastardized LP with DiMarzio 59 PAF pickups. Satch playing a Les Paul is actually a pretty alien idea to me, but you can see him holding a white one in the IK Multimedia promo video. And then I have my Les Paul plugged into the high watt dirty preset, which is Joe's high watt amp. And this is how that sounds. Nice and crunchy and open. I didn't use it in the song, but I have to comment on how nice this amp model sounds with the neck pickup. Now, during the tapping section, you also heard a nice, clean, chimey chord part, and that is played on my Shabbat Lion Standard right here in the middle position. And that was plugged into, believe it or not, Joe's Silver Champ tone model. So this is how that sounds. Nice and chimey. There's also a bit of delay on the tone. I will talk about that in a little bit. I'm going to turn off the delays, and that way you just hear the amp on its own. Now, as Joe mentioned in that promo video, all the gear combos for the different parts of the song sets everything up for the lead vocals or the lead instrument of the track. And of course, the lead star of this song is the Ibanez JS1CR plugged into the Satch VM tone capture, which is modeled after his signature Marshall. And this is the tone. Yeah, so you'll never guess how wet this signal is until you strip out the other parts of the song. In fact, you only hear the wet time-based effects when I stop playing. While I'm playing, all those delays are nicely tucked underneath the tone and just gives it a big ambience around it. So the most important part is the Satch VM amp model. And I pretty much just set the EQ according to what I see online, particularly in that Joe Satriani rig rundown video on Premier Guitar. Okay, so let's dive into the signal chain. Now, as I usually do, I use ToneX within Amplitube 5. That way I have the amp and the effects all in one plugin. I already made a video on how to include ToneX in Amplitube. It will be linked somewhere here on the card, so come back to this part after watching this whole thing. Okay, so here we have the Satch VM tone model. Loaded via ToneX, as you can see right there. And as for the controls, I just pretty much used the settings I found on pictures of the Joe Satriani rig rundown. Also of note, I'm using the paired cab in ToneX for my Amplitube preset instead of the Amplitube cab. See, that is disengaged. So if we click here. So as you can see, I have the JSM Red Crunch tone capture paired with the JSM Red Crunch cabinet. So I'm sticking to everything ToneX for now. Okay, as for the pedals, here is the chain. I'm not using the Phase 90, it's just there. I'm using the Amplitube Joe Satriani Collection distortion pedal, which is modeled after Joe's personal DS1. I will talk about this more in a little bit. And then I'm using the Stargate as a noise gate, but it's set at the minimum threshold so that I can nicely sustain all the notes. Now, scrolling through the rest of the preset, we have these outboard things at the end. So we have two delays. This is the first one. I'm going to turn it off. And then this is the second one right here. Okay. So the first delay is set to around 290 milliseconds, 300 thereabouts, you know. And the second delay is double that, around 600. And these are not BPM matched. What Joe does is he filters the top end of these delays. That way it does not get in the way of the actual playing. These delays just live underneath whatever he plays as, you know, ambient support. This is without the delay. Nice and crunchy. Delay 1. And then this is delay 2. Especially fun when you engage the sustainer. Okay, now let's go back to the DS1. The DS1 is in the chain for character, not to add more gain. So listen to this. I'm going to toggle it on and off and you can compare. So it doesn't really add more gain, but it does add that signature, you know, Joe Satriani sizzle to the tone. It helps the notes cut through and just sing better. In another interview, Joe mentioned that he liked this particular DS1 because of the lower output. So Joe can run it into an already, you know, cranked up dirty amp and not add more noise and compression, just character. Now let me show you the secret to the Joe Satriani tone, and that is with a parametric EQ post amp. Now the key here is to notch out a particularly high treble frequency, which is around 8,000 hertz or 8 kilohertz right here. Okay. And I just have it notched down a little bit by, you know, 1.5 dBs. So -1 with a fairly conservative Q width. Now that particular frequency is what makes the guitar grating to the ear, especially if you play a lot of things in the upper register. So compare it with. Okay, without. So with the EQ engaged, you can instantly hear the guitar sing in the upper registers, and it is not, you know, stabbing your eardrums. Now this is particularly important for instrumental guitar players, because if you play like an entire set, an hour's worth of lead guitar instrumentals, after a while you're just punishing your audience with all these teeny high notes up the neck. So notching out that frequency makes everything nice and vocal and throaty and pleasing to the ear, even when the guitar is like really very present and upfront in the mix. And as you've heard in my track, when the melody comes in, there is no doubt on anybody's mind that that is the lead instrument. So this is the lead patch. Let me show you a couple more things. For the intro riff, I used a different instance of this preset. It's basically the same preset, I just turned off a few things. Distortion is off, the second delay is off, and the parametric EQ is also off. So my idea for the intro riff was to have the KGW and the Friedman sound as the foundation, the bottom, and then the high watt and Les Paul on the right channel as the, you know, open top end. And this tone is right in the middle as the, you know, the compressed mid-range. This is probably similar to how Joe plays his rig live. So for rhythm parts, no DS1 and no parametric EQ. And then when the lead part comes in, both come on as well as the longer delay. Finally, we get to the middle tapping part. This part I am particularly proud of because it uses, you know, Joe's pitch axis theory, and it's very reminiscent of a lot of his earlier recordings. Now, if you want me to break down the actual, you know, notes that I played, let me know in the comment section and I will put together a tutorial just on this section. Okay, so here is the tone. So that is very familiar to all you Satch fans. And here is the signal chain. Okay, so Satch VM, again, same settings, same parametric EQ, same delays. The only thing different is the use of an electric flanger instead of the phaser, which I didn't use in the other parts anyway. So this is the flanger. Also for that part, I made sure I turned on the Sustainiac. The Sustainiac adds a little bit more high-end sheen to the tone. And you get to take advantage of some fun, you know, side effects. Again, the key to that huge Satch Tone is, of course, the ToneX Joe Satriani Amp Vault collection, paired with a DS1 type distortion for character, 2 dark delays, one set at around 300 and the other set at around 600, no tap tempo, filtered a little dark, and with not much feedback. And finally, a parametric EQ notch at around 8 kilohertz or so. And finally, I have a treat for you guys. At the time of this video, it's not released yet, but by the time you watch this, and if you bought the Joe Satriani Amp Vault collection for ToneX, then you probably already have the extra bonus amps, which are tone captures of that third power Dragon amp that Joe is using on the Sammy Hagar tour. Very cool. So let's see how quickly I can put together an Amplitube preset using that Dragon tone capture. Okay, so here is the default patch in Amplitube. First, I will disable the onboard cab. Okay. And then grab ToneX and drag that onto the amp block. Yes. Okay, so now I have ToneX and I will search for the third power Dragon amp model. Then let's go with the JS Dragon cascading gain, high gain, because I like high gain. And there it is. Very, very cool amp skin, if I do say so myself. Sounds good right away. What I'm going to do is set it to the Joe Satriani amp settings, gain all the way up, bass at 4.5, everything else at 4.5, I believe, presence and depth. Now here's the fun part. Let's add some pedals. Okay, DS1 right there. Now we need something to tame that hiss for when we're not playing. Stargate. And put it in front, threshold all the way down. And I will activate the reverb in ToneX. And then we'll add some, let's try something different. I'm going to use the X time. Let's see, vintage tape echo. Let's go for a stereo thing. Okay, I like that. I'm going to add a detune. Just add a little post EQ for clarity. Okay. And I'm going to use a graphic EQ just so that you guys can easily see what is happening. Maybe on the amp I'm missing just a touch of high end. Let me just up that. Okay, with the DS1. And finally, we'll put a long delay after the EQ. Okay, so that's how quickly you can put together a patch with ToneX inside Amplitube. Make sure to save. I must say that this JS Dragon amp capture feels very, very nice to play. And it's very cool that, you know, something that Joe actually tours with currently is now at our fingertips, even though it is in virtual form. And of course, let's not forget that if you want to use these tones in the real world on your physical pedal board, you can always load them onto your ToneX or ToneX1 pedals. So yeah, have your way with them. Play live, play loud. Okay, there you have it. That is how to get that huge Satch tone. Thanks to the brand new Joe Satriani Amp Vault collection for ToneX from IK Multimedia. Again, big thanks to IK Multimedia for sponsoring yet another video here on my channel and for giving me free reign in presenting the Joe Satriani Amp Vault ToneX collection to all you guys. As always, all the relevant links, affiliate or otherwise, are in the video description. So do drop by, use these links to go shopping, and yeah, help a channel out. Thank you so much. YouTube thinks you're gonna like this next video, so click on it to watch, then go grab your guitar and play something. You all know the drill. Practice makes Perfecto. Cheers.